What's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Yes, greetings and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Q Point Show. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, good folks?
You are now in tune to Q Points, dropping the needle on Black music history. Jay Ray, how has your week been?
My week has been amazing. It's been a string of good weeks. This Sunday, Sir Daniel, I danced so hard. Yes. My shirt was so drenched and I'm so excited about it. And it set it's dope when you do something that you love. It kind of sets the pace for your week. And I feel like I'm still breathing from the fun I had on Sunday. So my week has been great. How's your week been?
My week has been fantastic. I am now fully vaccinated with the monkeypox vaccine. I should be good to go within 2 weeks.
Right.
According to everybody, it's 2 weeks, and then you'll really be, you'll be immune,
right,
quote unquote. And also, now I will say that this time around, the first shot I got under my arm, the fatty part of my upper arm, but this time around they put it in the forearm section, a little higher up. This time around, it definitely, the bubble was a lot more noticeable.
Interesting.
Because it raises the skin and then it disperses through the body. But luckily, no side effects. I haven't had any issues with it. No, not even a whole lot of itching around the site area, but it is what it is. And the next, 30 days after that, then if I choose, I can get a booster for COVID after that. So, just taking precautions as needed. That's right, Matthew. It does. So for sometimes it does itch, sometimes it doesn't. But just taking precaution as needed as somebody who is trying to live in this world and somebody who gets out and gigs a lot,
Right. Yeah, that's really important, especially if you are around a lot of folks. And of course, on this show, we've talked a lot to y'all about monkeypox as well as COVID. Not saying that you have to get vaccinated, but we certainly want to be sure that we share our experience, because if you choose to do so, what you might go through. My interesting thing is you can still feel a little bit of a lump where I got my first shot, but it doesn't, there's no sensation anymore. So I can't feel it. So I'm coming up on my second shot probably within the next week and a half. So, nice. And I've been seeing a lot of other people too get it under here. So maybe there's some new guidance. So I'll let y'all know where I get it next time.
It definitely is. But yeah, it was definitely needed, especially after a weekend like what we had last weekend, especially here in Atlanta. It was Labor Day weekend. It was also Atlanta Black Gay Pride weekend. But most important,
exactly,
it was my birthday weekend.
It was DJ Sir Daniel's birthday.
And I am not. I am openly 47 years old.
Right. You're not hiding it from anyone.
I'm not in the closet with my age. I am openly 47 years old. I've been openly middle aged for a while now, and I'm proud of it. um, yeah, I had a great time seeing some familiar faces. Yes, definitely celebrating Virgo season to the fullest with my friends like Matthew Conti, who's also his birth. There's like a lineup of us
Right.
of friends, right? We have our friend Donald. He's the first. Matthew, who's in the chat, he's the second. I'm the third. Beyonce is the fourth, and then in my own family, there's like several of us that have birthdays back to back. I have an older cousin. He starts it off. Then comes me. Then my aunt is the day after me, and then my uncle's is today. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of us. So Virgo things, big Virgo things going on around here. And but it made, and thank you everybody in the chat. I appreciate the birthday wishes. It was, I'm not even gonna say bittersweet, but it this past weekend marked the end of an era for me.
Yeah.
I made the conscious decision. I've been DJing the Big Dogs, which is an organization for that was created, which is pretty revolutionary in itself. Is an organization for gay black men of size, big guys. It was created before all y'all like fat boys now. Y'all like
Right.
big guys now. Big
This was
guys are in
before that.
style. This was before that. This was like the Underground Railroad for fat boys. Definitely. So, so the Big Dogs they legit created a space for men of size who were same gender loving to party, to socialize, and create a network. And so every Labor Day weekend in Atlanta, of course, is Pride, and then I would DJ the day party, and they had a white party. I was doing that for years. It actually has been over a decade. I
Wow.
legit cut my DJ teeth doing the white parties and the day parties for the Big Dogs. So I'm forever grateful to Father Clinton Lanvin, and his partner Brandon for giving me that opportunity, because really that was like one of my very first major gigs, was doing the parties for them, and I was doing it for close to over a decade now. And I'm a seasoned daddy. I'm not, music is changing, people's tastes are changing, and so my tastes are changing as well. And so that was my last day party for this particular organization. It was fun.
Nice.
I got to hear some records out in the club that I've been dying to hear what they sound like in the club, and seeing the responses. Of course, there were certain things that were given, like I knew the Beyonce songs were going to hit. You know, yeah, the Beyonce songs were definitely going to hit, especially Church Girl. I have a new respect for Church Girl after hearing it ring off in the club. It's
I'm sure
truly
it
a different
bangs.
it's truly a different experience than seeing people singing at the top of their lungs. It's definitely a different experience. And then yeah, some not so good thing though. Yeah, that Pink Lady, her Super Freak song, the kids did not like it. It cleared the floor in like 10 seconds.
That, and you know what? The club is where you figure out, you know what? I wonder if folks take their joints to the club before they release them now and like test drive it. Cause remember, the reason why I'm coming out was like a thing is because Diana Ross took that record down to the club and let the DJ drop it to see how the crowd reacted. I guess folks probably don't do that anymore.
No, they do everything online. Everything is dropped online. It's dropped on the social media platforms. They do their interaction with the fans and tease the fans and drop songs and just put it out there. But actually working a song and workshopping a song to see if it really hits is not done anymore. Some of the criticisms of the song are true. It's not. It's just I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised because I dropped it specifically for the younger folks that were at Bulldogs because I was gonna get it a little ratchet, turn up for them, and they just paid it. They were like, "Yeah, that song doesn't interest us at all," and I was like, "Ooh, well, there's the answer on that. That won't be in my rotation anytime soon." So yeah.
Because, and you figure, to your point about the online thing, it's a vacuum at that point because you're only talking to your stands. Whereas in the club, you getting a whole lot of different people. Some people know you, some people don't know you. So you really get a chance to see if something would work. Good lesson. And I hope if her folks listen to this, all artists, if you are trying to do a joint for the clubs and do a joint for the people, take the joint to the club and watch what happens.
Even if not a club, a bar, there's plenty of brunch spots. You could do a pop up at a brunch spot because that's what the kids like nowadays. Yes. Anyway,
turn up brunches.
They turn up brunches, hookah lounges, whatever type of music is. Figure it out. Work the records nowadays. We've gotten really lazy when it comes to presenting records to the public now. And that's why that particular song is not a song of the summer.
So, Sir Daniel, we need to talk about the song of the summer. So for those folks joining us, and thank you to everybody who is joining us and hanging out with us in the chat, whether you are on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube, please, what was your favorite summer song this year for summer 2022? But Sir Daniel, you sent over this interesting video clip. So we're going to play this quick video clip, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the songs of the summer for 2022, or what the heck happened.
All right, so your song of the summer is FNF.
Yeah.
Never's yours is About Damn Time.
Yeah.
What's yours?
TT me preguntó. Yeah. That one's really good. Yo, Crooked, but you never tell me, what's your song of the summer?
I don't know if I have one, man. There's so many Bad Bunny songs that I look forward to playing, but I don't think there's like a song of the summer. We had Peppers last year, and Peppers demolished every room. This year, we don't have that. I'm not going to be able to play some of those records in every room. It's like that with hip hop. It's like that with reggaeton now. It's like that with R&B. It's like that with house. There is nothing integrating everyone together.
I feel that if people are not getting fed music correctly, everyone's streaming, that structure of pushing records is not there.
If I go to Bad Bunny, I'm going to lose a certain amount of the crowd. If I go to FNF, I'm going to lose some of the crowd. If I go to Beyonce, I'm going to lose some of the crowd. There's no like new music that's integrating everybody.
It's all facts. When I saw that clip, I immediately sent it to you. I was like, this is a show because it's factual, and I've seen it in real time, and it may actually be a reflection of our society, being that we're back to we're almost segregated all over again. Like, there are certain places you just can't. I don't feel like there was a song of the summer that brought everybody together. I don't feel like there was something that everybody, regardless of race, sexuality, whatever, I don't think there was a song that brought everybody together. Everything is super segmented. So it's like, if you don't cater to a particular crowd, you don't, and you say you're like an all-inclusive DJ, you're a DJ that does open format, and you're in these spaces where there are lots of different people, like you said, you drop a particular record and you're going to lose a chunk of the audience.
Yeah, like even looking at the list, we put the list for the Billboard songs of the summer, and this chronicles the songs that most of the songs, because this is the week of September 10th, but you can look back and kind of see what's been trending on the charts. And I'm looking at this list, and yeah, I can't pick one song that would be like, oh, this is a joint. You know how I figure out what a song of the summer is?
I was going to ask you that. What makes a song of the summer for you?
So what makes a song of the summer for me is a wide swath of people from different generations kind of knowing that song. Not that they like it, not that they know all the lyrics, but that they're familiar with it. And when I look at the list, and so my barometer is my mother, because she listens to terrestrial radio when she's in the car. So if she kind of knows about a song, I'm like, and it's also a big song that a lot of people know about, I'm like, okay, this is probably what the song of the summer is, because my mom and a bunch of other people know this song. So this year, I don't think there is one of those. Like, Bad Bunny has had the biggest year. Bad Bunny is like the artist of the summer, like point blank, period. He's been selling out arenas. So shout out to Bad Bunny for really doing the work. But my mom don't know no Bad Bunny songs. She just heard Break My Soul like last week.
Now, how did she avoid hearing Break My Soul?
I don't think it was, she may not have been in, because it's not that the R&B radio that she listens to doesn't play it. It's just that it's probably missed her. You know what I'm saying? During that period of time. So yeah, what makes a summer song for you? I'm sorry, a summer song for you, Sir Daniel?
So as of late, I have been making everything is personal to me. Like I've just been listening to things that bring me joy and make me happy to hear, and those can very well be throwbacks. And but I agree with everything you said. There is when I think back onto songs that really hit the consciousness of the country and made its way into the consciousness of the country, like you said, it'll be on T-shirts.
Right.
It's your late night talk show host is in his monologue mentions the song title somewhere. Things like that. Those kind of benchmarks will let you know what a song of the summer or a monster hit is. And that hasn't happened, or at least I haven't witnessed it in a long time. When we were just deciding to talk about this, I automatically thought back to 1984, when most of y'all probably weren't even born yet. But 1984 was a magical summer because it was the Summer Olympics. And we had not one, but two monster hits of the same title by two very different groups, but both songs were iconic to the country.
What? Okay. I think I know what you. I think I know what you got. I do. I know what song.
What?
Jump.
Boom. There it is. By the Pointer Sisters and
Van Halen. Wow.
So that's what I consider like a majestic song of the summer. Everybody knew it, both of them had the same title, so it was interchangeable, but it was like, I don't know if maybe the song title has to be a verb or something that
helps. I think that helps.
Yeah, so that's how I identify a song as a song of the summer. Okay,
so yes. I actually decided, I was like, "Ooh, is this like a new phenomenon?" Like, and then I decided to go back and look at last year, because child, time just flies. You know what was supposed to be the song of the summer for 2021, and it didn't happen. Remember Torculator? We kind of predicted that was probably going to be the song of the summer, and it didn't happen. But I looked at the list. I think "Leave the Door Open" was the song of the summer for 2022. It fulfills my criteria.
Who's that
by? "Leave the Door Open" by Silk Sonic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A lot of people knew that song from different. You could kind of drop it. It wasn't like a club song, obviously, but it was a song that was ubiquitous, and is still ubiquitous on multiple format in radio. But then otherwise it was going to be "Kiss Me More" by Doja Cat. Like, I was like, oh, maybe it was "Kiss Me More" by Doja Cat. That was kind of the song last summer.
And don't forget the Essence song by Thames. That was pretty major. You know, that was everywhere, and then it felt summery.
It felt summery, yes.
Yeah.
And then I went back to 2020 and I was like, oh, Chris Brown had like 2 big hits that summer. The one with Slim Thug, and then No Guidance with Drake. I was like, those were like really big songs that kind of a lot of people knew. So,
but are we still playing them today?
Yes.
Do you want to pull those out every summer? Like how I don't know how the punch, the Oscars punch has affected it, but like remember last year when we started the show, we were talking about "Summertime" by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and how that's a hallmark of summertime is that song. People go back to that every summer. That's the hallmark of a summer jam. And I don't know if any of the songs that we talked about are going to be pulled out like how that song used to be.
I think you're right. I don't think then to that point, we might be really far off from having true summer songs where it's like summer after summer you're hearing that song. Like Before I Let Go is still a summer song.
Right. You're going to hear it at the cookouts. It's good. It's good old ribs and barbecue music. R&B.
Okay, so to your point, Essence was probably going to be that. Like, I feel like 5 years from now, you'll drop Essence and people will be like doing their little groove thing and be like, oh, this was my jam right here. It's in the pocket.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens next summer because we'll be here.
We will.
We'll still be talking about it and trying to figure out, hey, is this standing up the test of time?
Mm-hmm. So we would love to hear from y'all. So I'm actually going to drop a link in the chat so that y'all can send us a video. So shoot us some fan mail. We haven't done some fan mail in a long time. So go ahead. Oh, I just spelled that wrong. QPNT. Don't do that. Fan mail. Don't do that. Do that and definitely send us a video. What was your song of summer 2022? Why did you like that joint? We want to hear from you. We would love to see your faces. We haven't seen your faces in a while, so this will be fun. So send us some fan mail.
It'll definitely be fun. And so I guess as we transition into the next segment of the show, I want to acknowledge a good friend that we had a friend of ours that passed away actually on the 3rd, on my birthday. He had fought a very long battle with cancer, and the love that I'm seeing for him in his transition is from from his community. A lot of friends are pouring into his memory, and you could tell that he had very tight relationships with a lot of different people. Our good friend Arkeem just recently passed away, and it really put everything into perspective for me because he hadn't gotten to 40 yet, and here I am celebrating 47. It just made me more appreciative and made me think about what I need to start concentrating on to be happy. What things do I need to do in order to make myself a happier person? What kinds of people do I need around me to start pouring into myself? What kind of friends do I need to keep around me to hold me accountable? And I think this next segment and this next crew that we're about to introduce to you guys is so important. And there's a reason why we brought them to you, because we're not just going to put anybody in front of y'all. We're not just going to introduce you to no junk. We're very happy to introduce to you the brothers of the Reclamation Point podcast. And J. Ray, earlier this week we had a great conversation with these brothers.
Yeah, it is so important, and and we're going to say this will come up at the top of the interview segment when y'all see it, but it's so important that we talk about Black men and our health and all aspects of our health. We've done a lot of stuff talking about our physical health. Also, our mental health is so incredibly important, and so Dr. Ed Garnes is one of my favorite people in the world. And so when I saw that him and Moetown Lee were starting this Reclamation Point podcast, me and Sir Daniel were like, it only makes sense that we come over,
makes sense.
and introduce the very important spiritually guided work that they are doing to help Black men get freer through dialogue with one another. And so we actually have a full interview. You're only going to see a portion. We pulled out the first 20 minutes of the conversation. And then tomorrow on the website, you'll be able to kind of see the full interview. So make sure that you're watching our socials and make sure that you're watching everything. But we are going to play the conversation that Sir Daniel and I had with Dr. Ed Garnes and Moetown Lee from the Reclamation Point podcast. And we put their link in the chat too. We want y'all to follow them wherever you can listen to podcasts. And we're also going to drop their socials too. So we're going to play this interview and we'll be right back. So we, over the course of our show, have really talked about Black men and health a lot, because it's really important, man. Like, and I'm happy that we get an opportunity to do that every chance that we do.
Absolutely, Black men are one of my favorite people. Is Black men. The other is Black women.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. And being that we are Black men, it comes as no surprise that we are in tune to the needs and the things that Black people are going through. And each and every episode, like we strive to do on Q Points, is that we find the humanity in everything we discuss, even though we're discussing music. That's our larger platform, is we like talking about Black music. But you can't talk about Black music without talking about the people behind the music. And a lot of artists, a lot of us are struggling. They've been struggling throughout the generations, and we heard it in the music, but we took it as, as joy, because it was presented to us as joy, something to enjoy. But there's a lot of pain that a lot of us are going through. And it's about time. What I love about this time that we're living in is the young people, and we give them a lot of grief.
We do.
The younger people, we do, but the young people are not afraid to speak up and say, hey, I don't like that. I need to take a moment to be by myself. I need to take time off. I'm quitting this job. I'm doing whatever it takes to protect my mental health. And my hat's off to them for advocating for that and championing that as their, main thing for their generation. And we are lucky today to be talking to two brothers who happen to be from our generation, speaking on the same thing.
Yeah, man. Like, so before we bring our guests on, I want to just kind of lift up the beautiful organic nature of the way things work. So I met Dr. Ed Garnes, I think, oh my goodness, back in like 2014, 2015. And of course, Kipper, I've, been Kipper's manager since 2014, and we ended up over at ABL Radio. Shout out to ABL Radio. Wow. I really miss ABL Radio. And yes, got the opportunity to meet this brother, and one of the things I will never forget is just the energy of that moment of being there to participate in the show and just kind of sit and watch, but watch also Ed's journey, right? So I was really excited when I saw that Dr. Garnes and Moetown Lee were starting a new podcast called Reclamation Point, and that Ed was like, hey, we should get on the phone. And we got on the phone, and here we are. So everyone, we are so excited. You know how we love bringing other podcasters on to talk about their shows. It's a thing. And so we are so excited because now we are going to bring on Dr. Ed Garnes and Moetown Lee of the Reclamation Point podcast.
Welcome to the show, brothers. How is everybody feeling today?
Hey, man, we feel amazing.
I feel good. I've already had my sweet tea intake, so I'm good.
Now, wait a minute. Was this with Domino sugar?
I don't know if it was Domino's, but it was loaded to the point of almost a diabetic coma, like we have to
Okay.
have it in the South. So it was good.
Okay. Okay.
We're
Bad
gonna
for
get him some stevia or something.
Right.
We gotta get this
well,
brother together over there.
absolutely. Well, I'm so pleased, just like J Ray said, I'm so pleased to have both of you on the show today. I had the opportunity and the pleasure to catch the very first episode of the Reclamation Point Black Men and Mental Health podcast. And I got to say, I was immediately drawn in by the the two of you's relationship, because
Okay.
it's not just, we're not just co-hosts, you guys are legit friends.
Yeah.
And the conversation, um it took a lot, the conversation took a lot of vulnerability. You were very, like, from the gate, you all opened up. And Dr. Ed, you showed I know because of your profession, but you showed a very heightened level of curiosity and observation. And of course, Moetown, you were willing and able to open up to him. And I get that that's what the show is about, but I do know that it's going to take a lot of unlearning for Black men specifically to be able to do what the two of you did, because that's how the healing is going to start. So what can, aside from watching the Reclamation Point, what can we, Black men, Black people, period, do to start that unlearning, especially with little boys, but just start that unlearning so we could begin to start healing?
Well, for me, the podcast and the conversation is actually a real conversation. Like, so we have, even though it's playing out to everyone else, this is actually a real conversation that I'm having with my friend who actually happens to be a therapist, right? It's not me like going and having a conversation with it, because I think if that's the way it was presented, me going and laying out everything through a therapist, I wouldn't. And I didn't talk with my friend first to be like even open, because there's a lot of, like, for me, just like a lot of Black men, therapy has been suggested on many, like, a lot of different times, and I've never been open to it. It was just like, for what? And the reason, and I always thought it was a motive for people to suggest therapy to me. Like, it would be like, if I'm in a relationship and I'm dating somebody and they're like, you need to go to therapy and figure it out. And I'm like, all right, you want me to go to therapy because you think that I'm just bad and you're just this perfect person. And this therapy is going to tell me that and it's going to help me. That's how I took it. I wasn't receptive to it. It wasn't until I got to a place where I'm like, normally I'm able to shake off these certain feelings and whatever, and I couldn't shake it. And I'm like, all right, what can I do? All right, let me call my friend who happened to be reaching out to me like a lot. You know what I'm saying? He knew I was like going through something, and he reaching out, and I was avoiding him. And I was like, all right, I need to call Ed back, and I respect Ed. We already have these personal conversations about what we're going through in life and just in general anyway. And then him talking to me and me like just having this relationship with him made me receptive to it, and being receptive. And I was like, all right. And then talking to other brothers, like my other friends, who I'm like, oh, I didn't know you go to therapy. Like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah. And so this is what made me be receptive to it. And then since it helped me, I'm like, Ed, we need to have this like, we need to expose other brothers like to these conversations so they can look at, I looked at it, they look at me like, I was super anti-therapy. So that if he can actually go and it's helping him be a better person, maybe we can help with other people.
Yeah. It's funny, there's not a magic secret. It's so simple, that it's revolutionary. Black men are always looking for a safe emotional place to land, and we've been taught by Western world culture and white folks to see vulnerability and emotional expression as a weakness, but in Black psychology, it's actually a psychological strength to bear your soul. The healing comes for the bearing of the soul. And DJ Sir Daniel is working on a master's in counseling because he picked up on something that is very important. Absent a deep and loving relationship with Moetown as like my big brother and me, his little brother. Absent that relationship, you don't get Reclamation podcast, and you don't get the vulnerability that you saw in episode 1, because without a relationship, or as my mentor Dr. Cornell West would say, there is no love without correction. And so when you come from a place of love, you can correct, you can redirect, you can reclaim your dignity when you are dealing with individuals that love you on a soul deep level.
Wow.
I
Watch.
told you, he
I
been
know,
on the road. I told
but
you.
we do this. We do this. Oh, I love it when I get a chance to do this with. I swear, Ed, every time.
Every time me and Jay Ray talk, it's like a family reunion and fish fry all in one.
Yep.
The first episode really did illuminate something for me that I had not thought about. I feel like I'm pretty well versed in things. I understand what things like depression look like, what things like having challenges. But one of the things that was highlighted at the very beginning in Moetown, you were telling your story about, hey, this big win happened. I wasn't really talking about it. And it got me thinking, and DJ Sir Daniel, you know this about me. I don't typically celebrate the wins. Like, I don't talk about the stuff that's happening, really good things, right? I'll be excited about it, but I'm always planning for the next thing, right? That thing happened, that was good, dope, but I'm on now to the next thing. It got me thinking about like the importance of, as Black men, celebrating ourselves and being okay with that. So I'm just curious to know y'all thoughts on, one, that statement, and two, how do we start breaking those cycles and truly as Black men being okay with saying, no, I did good. And I want to tell people.
That's funny that you say that, because the initial conversation I had with Ed when I was in that place, the thing that he left me with was, hey man, you got to focus on what makes you happy and celebrate those things and gravitate. Because before, like, I, just like you, I'm only as good as the next thing I do. Right. I'm like, you know what? You just broke this record. And this artist went from just backyard to selling 5 million copies. And I'm like, that ain't nothing. It's all about the next. And everyone comes to me like, what music fest and this big thing. Y'all went from a parking lot to this. And I'm like, yeah, but we're not the biggest Coachella, right? You know what I'm saying? We'll figure it out. And I didn't realize, Ed made me realize that was one of those things that mentally, like, holds us back, not celebrating, and making it, because we know those people who sometimes they just you over celebrate. It's just irritating. You know what I mean? Like, I'm missing on that. It comes from a place of ego, right? So we're so anti that, that we're just like, and so I was in that place, and I was in that place where I was ashamed of like the wins. You know what I mean? I was when people came to me and literally like, oh, this is dope, and I was like, oh God, why is he like, really? Like, oh, in the inside, I was just like, and I would shy away, but I was that gave me anxiety. So one of those things that Ed, I always, it's probably, we talked about a lot of different things, but that was the first thing the tool he gave me to think about and focus on about being better mentally.
It's funny, y'all, because we are taught by white society that we as Black folks have to earn our joy. Like it's something that we have to do to earn earn our liberation, to earn being respected. So we have been conditioned by a white supremacist culture to not facilitate joy. And then also because I don't know a black person that doesn't work hard. Like every black person I know works hard. All right. So let's get that misnomer out that we don't work hard. Right. So every black person works hard. But what we tend to do with joy and mental health is see it as a celebration after something when it has to be proactive. Right. You have to facilitate joy every day of your life, because the facilitation of joy is like a bank account. If your mental health bank account, every day you're facilitating joy in some way, you are not depleted and working from a deficit when life hits. You know, we know as black men, we walk out the street, we a target. That's Trump.
Absolutely.
Right? So we got to store up our joy like a good credit rating. And so people think that the sweet tea is just me wanting diabetes. It's not. Here's what you have to think about with the sweet tea. The first thing that my grandmother taught me to cook was chicken wings and sweet tea. So that's actually my mental health armor, and how I cope and deal with things is that it's like her messages come through the sweet tea and the chicken wing. So it's not like I just want to drink this, right? But it's become a healing strategy because I remember my grandmother's sayings, and her sayings was all about resiliency. That's what Southern grandmas give us, right? And so that's what we have to remember, is that joy is a process. Joy is ours to have. Joy is ours for the taking. And also, just humor. Like if you look at social media, black folks gonna laugh. All right. When we was in the pandemic, I mean, a good meme, a good funny video, we gonna laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't realize that is a psychological strength, having a gallows sense of humor. People think that I survived academics off of intelligence. Richard Pryor, a state need half of my degree because Richard Pryor got me through. Laughing to keep from crying, facilitating joy are things that we have to make an everyday practice, like a healing suite that we create for ourselves on a daily basis. We don't have to be reactive. We can be proactive and store up some joy.
You know what?
Told you.
Wow. I couldn't think of a better
told you.
analogy for it, because to both of your points, like when it comes to good things and whatnot, the way I try to approach it is, and I have another question after this, the way I approach it is just making sure that I approach it from a stance of gratitude, and just constantly having the gratitude, and then the gratitude triggers joy. And so Motown is like, because I approach it from that way, it kind of negates the guilt, because same, I feel it's like people, you get done doing a set and people get their life and they have fun and they come up to you and be like, oh man, you did that. And I'm like, oh man, that's thank you. Instead of just that whole thank you very much. That whole, that it's not fake humble, but it's definitely, it's like, okay, enough of the humility act. It's like, okay, enjoy it. That's why in that moment when I see people, most time we were talking about this earlier about enjoying the craft of DJing. In that moment, when I'm seeing people singing to the top of their lungs and dancing, I have to stop, not think about my next song is queued up, but I'm stop and just take in that moment and enjoy that visual. And it's like, this is why you're doing this. But I want, Dr. Ed, you said something earlier that I picked up on, and it was about being able to correct with love. And you two are venturing off into the podcast landscape. And when we see two black men in a podcast, everybody's like, oh, here we go. Another alpha male podcast, and telling black women what's wrong with them, and telling all the gay people what's wrong with them and why you're not a real man. And you guys have a lot to battle against, because that has been what's been presented, and that's what kind of won, because that was the only thing out there. How are you preparing yourselves to go out there in the battlefield as it pertains to podcasting and cutting through the nonsense and getting your message heard?
Well, they say cream rises to the top, authenticity rises to the top. We have no interest in like being the number one podcast for ego. we are doing this to normalize mental health and freedom for Black men. And so when you have a divine purpose, it kind of takes care, and your space is created for you. Because some people would say, "Oh, crap," like you said, podcasters are inundated with Black men talking toxic. Where do you fit in? It's always a place for brothers that's real and authentic, which is why Q Points has a place, right? Because what you all bring to the table is unique to.
Facts.
But I think what's different, what you're describing, is ego and toxic masculinity and bootleg versions of white masculinity being dominant that you see on these particular podcasts. Because Motown and I have a deep relationship for each other, it's rooted in respect, and it's rooted in a community orientation that has always guided Black folks that we have forgotten. So it's funny, the clip that Motown just did for episode 2 is going to really shock people, because it's talking about that particular love factor. And so I think we make space for ourselves because we are willing to be vulnerable and talk about my mistakes and our mistakes. And to show you episode 2, when it comes out, you're gonna see Motown shocked, because I revealed some things even Motown didn't know. Because sometimes people see therapists as the all-knowing, and we haven't struggled. And so what makes me a better therapist is that I as a Black man have been through hell and came out on the other side and still go through hell daily. So I have lived in this world for 45 years as a Black man. And so I have experience on the academic side, but I remixed that with my grandmother's Southern sensibility and common sense to create the antidote to a lot of the toxic things that you see. So I think, it's a place for us because there's nobody like us.
Right. And the approach we took is education through experience. It's like our lives, your entertainment. It is not. I think for far too often we talk. For episode 2, when we talk about relationships, we didn't talk about relationships in a place where like the competitive banter, because this is not what we want to do. I talked about my experiences and why I thought. Um, the ways that I thought about certain things, and how therapy and how approaching my mental health has exposed me to learn why I thought these ways. Because we all, like, there's times where we can easily point out and be like, well, uh, all right, I'm from the West Coast and I grew up off Too Short and Sugar Free. Bees ain't ish, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's my mentality. Like, I'm just gonna get over as like whatever. Or growing up, like, I'm just gonna have less. How many did you knock down? How many numbers did you get? Like, right? We got to the root of like the mental aspect of why I personally thought that way and why I approached sex in that manner. And in episode 2, we talk about me actually my first sexual experiences was with like older women. I basically was molested by older women, and through that, sex was never this like love, this amazing thing. It was like a thing of perversion. It was like I was ashamed. So we talked about why I got there. It wasn't it's not to bash women because that thing's happened to me. It was why I personally thought the way I thought and how I thought about how I viewed relationships, and how me getting a better mental understanding of myself is helping me progress and not look at situations like I did.
Man.
Woo! Look, I don't think a lot of people oversell stuff.
Right.
But we didn't.
We undersold that.
We undersold that. That was, first of all, Dr. Ed be preaching. Like, we should have been passing around a collection plate.
Right.
And I just I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation with those brothers of the Reclamation Point podcast. And I truly believe you all are going to enjoy their conversation as well. So we strongly encourage you to check out not only the rest of our conversation here on Q Points, which will be available tomorrow, but go check them out, follow them on the platforms, and go listen to the 2 episodes are up now for you to check out. And you will really get into it. like Dr. Ed said, they don't come from a place of ego.
Mm-mm.
Um, and he's in the room too. What's up, Dr. Ed? They don't come from a place of ego. They don't come from a place of, trying to be alpha males, the
Mm-hmm.
next alpha male podcast, which we're all tired of. This is really about coming from a place of healing, and that's gonna cut through. So shout out to them. I'm really excited to see what happens next for these brothers.
Absolutely. Yeah, I watched episode 2 yesterday, and y'all just watch episodes 1 and 2. I felt freer watching that, and even watching this interview back. There are so many things that I know that I'm still working through. Like I was telling Sir Daniel, so we were offline talking. Y'all couldn't hear us because y'all was watching the interview. And I was like, I don't even know how to not be humble. Like I don't even know. I gotta get the tools right. Because it's so important. One, and shout out to Dr. Ed Garnes. Who just dropped the link to episode 2 in the chat. That idea of celebrate doing something joyful every day and storing up joy, because we know we go through those moments where we can't see the forest for the trees, right? But if we got a little bit of joy stored up, then we got something to pull from and we don't feel like completely defeated and depleted. Yeah, man, Reclamation Point, what Dr. Garnes and what Moetown Lee are doing is guided work that we need.
Because it immediately affected both of us, because we were both sitting there thinking about how we are scared of our wins. We are scared of our wins because that brings attention to us.
Yes.
And that attention leads to people asking you to do more things. And then you start thinking, can I really do this? Am I really... Oh, wait, people are going to find out that I'm a fraud.
Right.
Like it's definitely imposter syndrome, because God knows sometimes when I get behind them turntables, I'm like, child, they are going to, I don't know if they're going to like this. All those messages, all those scripts, because all of us have scripts that are in our heads. All of those scripts start playing out. And right now is where we start interrupting those scripts and we start uploading new ones. And as my co-host and friend, we need to challenge each other on celebrating these wins. Like Q Points is winning.
Q Points is winning. Show 68, yo.
We are on 68 episodes. It's been nonstop. The quality is, in the words of Tiffany Pollard, I love New York. Look at the material. Look at the material. Like, we have been giving y'all some really great material for over a year now. And so it's time we toot our horn, toot. Y'all are going to continue getting this content from us. And we are going to continue sharing people that are of the same caliber or higher than Q Points, because that's what we're about, trying to elevate around here as well.
Yeah, like I am so grateful that those brothers decided to come and sit down, and I can't wait for you to hear the rest of our conversation tomorrow. So go ahead and make sure that you follow our socials and do all of that. Sir Daniel, this has been an amazing show.
I mean, well, duh, J. Ray.
You know what? Of course it is. It's Q Points, right? Starting now, right? We're starting.
None of that. Wow, thank you so much.
Right.
It's enough of that. Matter of fact, tomorrow, if you're in the Atlanta area, come out tomorrow. Be masked up or vaxxed up, whatever it is. Come out tomorrow to the Best End Brewery, because my one of my favorite things to do, thank God it's vinyl, is back tomorrow at the Best End Brewing Company in the West End. My crew, my family, my vinyl family is spinning tomorrow. We got Peppermint Gaddy, my sister, Sully, my brother. All of these are my peoples, and Swivel, and then the kid is gonna do a nice little set for you as well. So if you have time, come on out. It's a great time. There's no fee to get in. There's food. There's drinks. It's a relaxed atmosphere. There'll be vendors. Well, JB's Record Lounge will be vending there. So if you love vinyl, you want to pick up some vinyl, you'll be able to do that as well. So come on out. I'm hoping that the weather cooperates, because it's been, it's been kind of iffy here in Georgia, but we're gonna have a good time, y'all.
Nice. And tomorrow, one of the things that I haven't talked a lot about on this show, but this is the perfect time to do so. Tomorrow, I have my second of my lighting test sessions, which I've been doing down at Rec Philly. Pause. Shout out to Rec Philly. Sean Diddy Combs just invested a lot of money into Rec Philly. Rec Philly is going to be opening Rec Miami. So shout out to those good folks who invited Q Points over onto Rec Philly, put us on stage, gave us an opportunity to talk to the Philadelphia community about what we do. And Rec Philly is really growing, especially with the investment of one Sean Diddy Combs. It's been a big week for Rec Philly. So I'll be doing the second of my lighting test sessions. If you follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, you know that I posted an image today from my first session. I met that brother at that event that we did over at Rec Philly with Q Points. So I'll be doing the second of those sessions. And you know what? Just not being afraid of the fact that I'm also a photographer. I forget. Sometimes.
An amazing photographer, yes.
Thank you. I forget, and it's kind of exercising, getting the muscle together, but also practicing. So I have a full slate of practice sessions for September. I'll be announcing my October sessions next week. So if you're in the Philly area and you're like, I'm trying to get a free photo shoot with J Ray because he practicing, you need to be watching my socials.
For sure. Wow. Well, we've come to the end of this episode. I'm full. I am fortified with this has been a really great episode. And I cannot wait to see everybody next week. J Ray, what do I always tell the kids? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you could let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J Ray, y'all. Peace.
And this has been Q Points, dropping the needle on Black music history. Peace.